Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Are you ready for some medicine? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today's prescription comes from Proverbs chapter 12, verse 6. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 6. And the scripture says this: the words of the wicked are a deadly ambush, but the speech of an upright rescues them. The words of the wicked are a deadly ambush, but the speech of the upright rescues them. I want to, for our morning medicine, I want to talk about just our speech. And I want to talk about from the perspective that God says here, there's a speech that ambushes. There's also a speech that rescues. There's a speech that ambushes, but also a speech that rescues. And we don't oftentimes see ourselves speaking in a manner that would ambush me. Why would I set myself up for disaster? Why would I set myself up to fail? Because when the Bible speaks about this, and I want you to think of it like this: an ambush is an attack that I don't see. And so the question I have for you for our morning medicine is, are you mindful of your speech to the degree that you may be setting up for an attack that you don't see? You might be setting yourself up for ambush by what you release out of your mouth. I want us to really take heed of that for our morning medicine, to really be more intentional with our speech and how we talk and who we talk to. We have to be careful of this because the Bible tells us your words can set you up for an ambush, an attack that you don't see. What do you mean by that? And I was thinking about this. I just reflected on it this morning. Oftentimes, we find ourselves speaking things that sets up for ambushes when we're moving by emotions. I'm going to give a couple examples of this. When we're moving by emotions, when we're in a place that we haven't forgiven somebody, we have unforgiveness in our heart, or we have a little bitterness about a situation, feeling a little hatred. That thing has perplexed our heart. And oftentimes when we allow that to plague our heart, plagues come out of our mouths. And then I find myself reaping that plague. It ambushes me. Let me define it a little bit more. A person does something, and that thing bothers you. It bothers you to the degree that you're just perplexed. You think about it. That thing is up on your heart. You feel some type of way about it. And oftentimes when we feel some type of way about it, that's often the topic of our conversation. That's often where we find ourselves getting back and bringing that thing back up. And so what we'll do is this. We'll be talking to somebody, and if that person brings up anything about that person, when we'll find ourselves unknowingly sometimes just speaking down, engaging a conversation, just gossiping away about this person. And in that, it's some type of self-gratification. But what we don't realize, that's an ambush. Why do you say that's an ambush? Because look at what you're spreading about that person. This person here, right, needs help, apparently. How do we know that? Look at what they've done to you. But instead of praying for them, we are talking down about them, and we continue the momentum of it. That which is upon our hearts continue to flow out of our mouths. And that's what we empower. And so instead of praying for them, we talk about them. And when we talk about them, we spread a web about them. And we end up destroying their character. But watch this. I would never want anybody to destroy mine. And trust me, we have done some things to God. And what we don't understand is, I'm asking God, I pray to God that God will refine me, that God will have mercy on me, that God will do this for me. Yet what I'm showing is the lack of mercy for somebody else. What I'm showing is not the ability to build and forgive. And so I set myself for an ambush. Because now I've allowed something to be released out of my mouth that's attached to me. And that's how that thing spreads. Because what sometimes, what happens with gossip, it doesn't stop where I left it. As contrary to what I want to believe, it doesn't stop there. And what it'll do is it'll spread to somebody else. And next thing you know, that person will be saying, hey, man, yeah, brother blah, blah, blah was talking about you the other day. And guess what I'm doing? I'm setting myself for an ambush because now I've created enemies that I shouldn't have created. And somebody can say some things in order to feed some things because the ultimate goal is to divide some things. And so what I did was I created an ambush of division. I created somebody to what? Hate me back. Because I'm talking to everybody else about this person, but I don't even know if I've actually, have you even went to that person to talk to them about it? So instead of having the ability to end a thing, I'm continuing to stir it up. Therefore, I'm setting up an ambush. And this is what God is trying to tell us. You got to be careful because you can be walking into an ambush. What I've learned, I learned this, you know, especially at your job, not everybody's going to like the boss. You know, that's a quick conversation. Not everybody's going to like the boss. But what I've noticed is that those conversations are running rampant at the job. And so one thing what I've learned is that when I find myself around my coworkers and they start talking about the boss or they start talking about some new policy and they start going bad on it, I don't even say anything. And it gets around, I'm telling you, when you don't say anything, you stick out like a sore thumb. And somebody's in that conversation going to ask you, say, so Piper, what you think about it? I know blah, blah, blah. You know what I tell them? Man, I don't got no thoughts about it. I'm just grateful to work here. I thank God for the opportunity and some, you know. And I know it's hard decisions sometimes and people are put in places, so I don't know all the facts. And I'm telling you, it's going to be quiet. Because what you did was you brought light to a dark situation. I brought a word that rescued. It rescued me from getting caught up in all that drama. That word just rescued me. And I'm telling you, I went even further with somebody that keep saying something. I say, hey, you know what, man, You know what? I don't even want to go there, man. I don't like to talk. If nobody ain't here to defend themselves, because I don't know, I'd rather not even say anything about them. Because they're not even here to defend themselves. So I'd rather just keep my comments. And if I got something, I'll say something to them. And I just brought light to them and giving them an understanding to stop all that gossip. And I let them know, man, because I wouldn't want nobody to talk about me if I'm in that position. So I'm just going to keep my comments to myself. You see what I just did? Those words rescued. But I've been listen, I learned this the hard way because it feels good in a group of coworkers. I'm trying to be cool with them. And then they start talking about the boss. And then I start talking about the boss. I start going back. I start doing the same thing. And guess what happens? It comes back around to me. Now, I've been in that situation where the boss came back and he said, hey, man, we were talking, laughing, and they tell me what they've heard that I've said. And they're like, I thought that, I was just shocked when I heard that. You know how I felt? Little. Because first off, I'm like, man, now what I look like? I look two-faced. I ambush myself. I don't look like a person of integrity. I look like a person who would smile in your face but talk behind your back. You see how I ambush myself with my own character? And all I could do is like, man, you know what, man, that my bad. And I just felt small. Why? Because I've been ambushed. And that was what was coming at me was showing me how much that attack and what it did to me. But actually, I set myself up for it. Because I was speaking, I should have been speaking when I didn't even know everything. I didn't know all the facts, but I just entertained the conversation. And I walked into that. I walked myself into an ambush. And that thing came back around to me and I saw it. So I'm just saying for this morning medicine, you got to be careful of what you walk yourself into. And let's walk ourselves with words that rescue, not words that ambush. Be careful about those conversations when you're talking about your spouse to people. Yeah, I know you're frustrated. I know you just getting things off your chest, but you got to be careful of where you putting that you're getting off your chest and how you get it off. You got to be careful that you speak something about somebody based on a moment. And we allow that person to have that perspective and they don't see it as a moment. Don't ambush yourself with words. No, allow words to rescue. Because sometimes I'm not just rescuing me, but I need to rescue somebody. This is your morning medicine. Don't walk into an ambush. Nah. Let's walk into being rescued. God bless you all.